Hi, I'm Irene and I'm a Professor of Learning Disability and Palliative Care at Kingston University.
My name's Richard Keegan-Ball and I have a learning disability, but I'm a research assistant and I work at Kingston University with Irene, I do, yes. We found out about that lots of people with a learning disability are still living with their families in their 40s still and 50s. In fact, we were doing a research about people, adults with a learning disability, about moving on from living with their mums and dads. In fact, about the difficulty about making a decision for the future, because some people know about the system, about getting support from social services. Some families didn't know about the system, and some families were scared about the system, worried what will happen to their children, you know. Yes, so we got some mixed feelings. We did, you know, about all of it, and all the families we spoke to knew that they got to help their children to make a decision, but just didn't really know how to go about it. Because, like I say, some people knew about the system, and some people didn't know about the system. And for one family we spoke to, she said, we should have made these decisions a lot earlier, and we know that, but
some people had really tried hard to think ahead, and others were really trying to not think about it and trying to stay alive for as long as possible. I think we just keep going, keeping our fingers crossed, because they just didn't really think there was anything out there that was suitable for the they really were worried about finding something where their son or their daughter or the person themselves, we spoke to people with learning disabilities, could carry on with their lives the way they wanted to, sort of independently, you know, going out to do the things. Some people with learning disabilities were worried about
they were. Well, one person we spoke to, that he was worried that he knew somebody who was in a home, and that he was worried that he would end up being in a home where he would have to go to bed at 9 o'clock at night, or I wouldn't be able to go out and about like he used to be able to do. Yes, so he was really quite worried about that. He was, yes.
Also about the person, will they be known? Will somebody care enough and know them enough? This was a worry for siblings as well, because they knew that knowing the person would really probably fall to them. So we were trying to help families to think through what the person with a learning disability might want, what choices the families might make together about the future. But there was a very strong sense that yes, this is important, we need help to think this through, but then the options need to be there, and we need professionals to help us with this. We need the social workers to help us with this. And the families told us that they felt that social workers were only really available in an emergency, that it had to be really bad and pressing before they could get that kind of support. So what they really wanted from social workers was information about what the options were. Lots of people didn't really know, did they, what the options were of where, you know,
that's it, yes,
what kind of different places you might live.
Yes.
A lot of people actually were worried about having to move into some sort of a group setting when they actually really didn't want to live with other people. They wanted to carry on living, you know, in their own room, in their own house. They needed help with that. But then they also needed social workers to help them make, you know, find these places and make it possible.
Yes. Not to feel a place where they'd be avoid or something, you know, someone died, you know, not just to fill their place, but to be their own person, you know, to be their life, you know, not just that they're replacing somebody who used to be there, and for actually someone who came to speak to us who used to be a social worker, or if someone said to herself that you do have to get into a crisis before a social worker comes. You do have to get into a crisis. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, that they're supposed to help you not get in the crisis. They're supposed to be there before the crisis happens, you know.
I think social workers were top of the list, and we're also top of the list of the missing people in their lives, helping them with this. The other thing that would really help them is knowing what the options are. Hearing stories from other people who have moved, you know, to hear what that was like. We worked with a group of families and people with a learning disability together to create something that might support them in those choices.
And that's where advocates come in handy, because that they can help they're there for you to help the person with a learning disability to be able to maybe to communicate to the social worker on their behalf a bit, yes.
The main thing we've heard families say is don't wait until there's a crisis. You know, help families before there's a crisis, and to help them think through what you know what is possible. I think that's the main thing. And the other thing is people are not numbers, right? So this question of who will know me, who knows me, who understands me. There is a real need for families to trust their social worker as a person and as a professional. And it seems to me, I haven't heard people say this directly, but it seems to me that trust has to be earned, and social workers will need to work quite hard at that, because there is quite a strong sense among families that social workers are there. They're like a hoop to jump through. You need them, but they are something to get through, rather than somebody who can support you. And as you say, there are good examples. There are many social workers go into the job because they want to help, and they want to do exactly that. So I don't know what makes that possible and what hinders that, but it is something to think about, because, as I say, to be a burden to families is not what you're in social work for.
No.